ready for the keynote? Let me ask again, who's ready for the keynote? All right, exciting. I'm Nathan Rader, a VP of Enterprise Sales at HighRadius, and it's a pleasure to have everyone here today. I'm going to introduce the founder and CEO of HighRadius, Sashi Narahari. Sashi.
I think many of you have heard the term autonomous receivables. We are continuing to double down on a concept called autonomous software. And then I'm going to start with the basic definition because a lot of people have their own definition of autonomous because of other things outside of the software industry. I think nobody has used the term in the software industry. But the basic definition for us is a data-driven software whose behavior continuously changes as we acquire more data. So if you just think about, I used to be an ABAP developer when I started my career. I'm sure I wrote this code which is if this, do this, and it's still running somewhere in the production system. But it's been 20 years with that company. I think it was like Shell, actually an oil and gas company in Houston. But the whole concept is that doesn't make sense. So many things change that you cannot have a software which is static, rules-driven, written based on the time you implemented the software. So what we are trying to evolve to is a gradual shift where software continuously morphs as you're adding on this terabytes of data. If you think about the amount of data we are adding every year, or every 2 years, apparently we double the amount of data that we have had in the history of time. And then, beyond that, how do you amplify the impact for the users and the experience? This is the harder part. How do you deliver a completely different experience for the end users who actually do the job? So if you think about the B2C world, the business to consumer, the apps we all use, we take it for granted. We have just literally gone through a major transition in the last decade. Facebook is personal data. LinkedIn is professional data. Netflix is media, entertainment, movies. Amazon, if you think about the shopping you do on Amazon, your everyday experience is very different. It's all data-driven. It's not a static software. Same thing with something like Pinterest. Pinterest is actually one of my favorite apps to shop. I'll just start with an image, and then it just modifies. In 15 minutes, it takes me to so many options that I didn't even think about. So I actually do all my shopping on Pinterest in 30 minutes, and then it takes you to the right website to buy. So if you think about all these apps, they're all becoming data-driven. Yes, you need a good UI, easy to use, but every day when you log into them, your experience is different based on the context. The city that you are in, what you're trying to buy. So with that in mind, we believe that the B2B software will also transition to a data-driven. And let's double click a little bit of why for B2B versus B2C. If you look at the history of software, the 1980s era was all building software. A company needed a billing application or an accounting application or a sales, they would just hire a bunch of COBOL programmers and they would write COBOL code. And then SAP came along. I'm sure many of you are SAP customers, and SAP said it doesn't make sense for a pharma company to build their own software, for an agricultural company or a CPG company, right? Because that's not your core business. So SAP kind of did like, I'm going to build it for you and bring the economies of scale so that you don't need to go through these expensive costs and be an expert in building software. It's a pretty good positive shift. Then Salesforce came along. We think of Salesforce as generation 3, where Salesforce basically said, all you need is the application. Why are you buying servers, hiring an army of IT people, buying database software, operating system, and maintaining and managing all this backbone just to get the application? So if you think about the transition, we just went from paper and file cabinets to electronic systems of record. Big picture, right? So what we believe is software is still not delivering two key things. One is most software is actually dumb. It doesn't have intelligence, right? If you think about SAP, you could just go make some journal entries, but most of the processing of what to do is happening in your brain, and then you go make an entry in SAP. The second thing that has happened is users have kind of lost freedom because you're tied to this. Anything you need to go to the IT department. To some extent, even HighRadius. You need to go to HighRadius as a vendor, create a ticket. So we think about how to give the freedom back to the users to make the changes to enhance the application. So that is the transition that we are going through. We have been in this, I think, since 2016 when we wrote the first version of our software. But gradually, I believe that the decade of 2020s will be a shift of not just the order to cash or treasury function. Every function will get rewritten as an autonomous software. So, and then without getting into too much details, the architecture, the core of the autonomous software platform is the big data. So HighRadius has 2.23 trillion of finance transaction data. There is a lot of amazing insights that we can drive that can drive automation and intelligence. There are 4 key components: heuristics and analytics, RPA, AI, and natural language processing. You probably got a demo of NLP this morning. So that's the core foundation, just like LinkedIn is professionals data, Amazon is consumer data, that kind of stuff. And then, we have been investing a lot over the years, and we continue to. So we like to abstract out the machine learning algorithms and so forth for the customers, but if anybody is interested, we can double click on any application, but this is a heavy and high-end AI kind of logic that is driving a lot of behavior under the hood. And then the end goal, of course, is to deliver an experience to the users that is different from what you are currently experiencing. We'll do a demo right now. We'll walk you through what that means. And then the core platform to deliver the freedom. So we are working on a concept called connected workspaces that we'll launch soon, which we believe will take users out of Excel. So the Excel hell will not happen again. This is something that we've been in an R&D mode for a while, so we're going to launch this soon. Rasil is a new HighRadian. We like to put new HighRadians on the spot, so bear with her. She's going to do a live demo and interact with Frida.
I knew it. I knew it was a test. All right. There you go. So thank you, Sashi. I really appreciate the introduction. I will be spending this morning really bringing to life what Sashi just talked about. As he said, my name is 𝗁𝗁, and I am fairly new to HighRadius here, but I am excited with you here this morning. Ultimately, what just make sure you can hear me. When we're thinking about where we're headed with automation, we're looking at how can automation truly bring to life your collections team. Really, when we're thinking about where collections is heading, we are done with downloading reports. The amount of collation that we've done in the past, downloading spreadsheets, collating this information, dropping down filters, looking at pivot tables, all to try to figure out and prioritize where we're heading in a day. What do they need to focus on? What are the most important clients or customers that they need to reach out to in a day? So what we've done here with autonomous collections is really change the game. And I'm excited. This is one of the processes that have been ripe for automation for years, and I'm excited. And when I joined HighRadius, this is probably one of my favorite things that I saw. It's like, are you kidding me? We've been looking at this. We've been spreadsheet driven for so long. Now is the time that we really want to focus on making a difference to your collections team and ultimately to your overall AR, your AR function. So let me just go in here and do a bit of a demo.
Collections Cloud prioritizes the actions I need to take each day. One such action is customer calls. You'll see on my screen, I've already logged in to see my top priority customer for the day. In the top left-hand corner is a list of action items and reasons why we need to contact this customer. When I click View All, you'll see a little bit more details that doesn't quite all fit on the top screen. First, you'll see there's a potential blocked order as the customer has used 90% of their credit limit. Next, you can see they have an overdue invoice that needs payment. However, the client has raised a dispute. Lastly, I want to take you to this bottom screen over here, and this is really showing you the predictive AR aging. In blue, you can see this is the current AR aging, what's currently due versus past, and the green is the predicted AR aging 30 days from now. You can see this is only getting worse. This is why this customer is our top priority for the day, and I want to give Philip a call. Let's go ahead and call Frida. Call Philip Reynolds.
Initiating the call to Philip Reynolds. I'll be on standby taking notes.
Hello, this is Philip.
Hi, Philip. This is 𝗁𝗁 calling from GE Collections team. Do you have a couple minutes? I'd like to talk through a couple of past due invoices.
Yeah, sure. Which invoice are you referring to?
The first one is number 85937.
That's right. I remember we didn't want to pay part of the invoice because it wasn't fully delivered.
Ah, I see. Well, I did receive a signed proof of delivery document indicating it was. Maybe it was somehow misplaced. Would it help if I sent the proof of delivery over to you?
Yeah, please share that and I'll check with my team.
Perfect. While I have you, there's 2 other invoices I'd like to follow up on. I want to make sure that you have everything you need for those.
Okay, what invoices are those?
Sure. The first one is number 83580, and the next one is 91361. Do you have everything you need
Right,
for
I
those?
think I have everything I need. I'll be able to pay both of those by Friday, but can you send me the invoice copies just to be safe?
That would be great. Sure, I can absolutely do that. After the call, I'll make sure to send you the proof of delivery as well as copies of these 2 invoices.
All right, that's perfect. Thanks, Rochelle.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, so as you can see here, a couple of things have happened. One, there's a call transcript, and this really outlines the conversation and enables your collector to focus on what they actually need to do during the call, leveraging the amount of time they're spending focusing on the invoices that need to get resolved versus trying to multitask and take notes. So we'll have this as a transcript as a component of this client interaction. Next, you can see that it's actually created a couple of action items here for us that you are able to edit, review, and resolve as part of your initiation. What we want to do, just to save time here, is we'll discard these and then follow up. Okay, and then we'll click done. And what you can see here is Frida has actually drafted a customer email that will enable us to send an email directly to Philip Reynolds once we review everything that has been included. What you'll see here is that it's included a link to make payment. In addition, it's also included links to the customer invoices as well as the proof of delivery. From here, once I've reviewed this and make sure that everything is here, we can hit send, and hopefully we will receive these payments from Philip by the end of Friday. Now it's on to the next call.
All right. Rochelle, how long have you been with HighRadius? How many months? 2 months. So big thanks for doing that. All right. So I think the summary here is one of the key things I want to call out is our own learning as we go through this Frida and the autonomous journey, especially the user experience, not the other components, is we believe that the user experience adoption of AI will be gradual. So many of you have probably heard of this concept called crossing the chasm, where you have the innovators, and then the early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. If you just think about when, let's say, Instacart came out for buying groceries, not all of us immediately embraced it. Somebody did, and those are the innovators. And then came the early adopters, and then the early majority, which is what is probably happening, and then it'll get a mainstream adoption. So we think the end user experience of switching from a regular enterprise software UI look to interacting with Frida, the touch, and the voice will take time, just like you're getting accustomed to Alexa and Siri and so forth. So I'm going to transition now to Treasury. So Treasury has been a very interesting journey. We started this business literally like early pre-COVID, and then the last 18 months, we worked with about 20 customers, I would say in that innovators phase. And then we kind of doubled down and took some risks. So all of our contracts were literally outcome-based. Unless we can improve your cash forecasting accuracy by 30%, we told all of our customers, you literally fire us. So we really wanted to go through this journey to prove to ourselves, because it's a new business, it's kind of time to take more risks. And that was really fruitful, because I think in the Treasury business, we have actually brought in a breakthrough, which I think will change the industry. So at this point, I'm going to have Tracy do a live demo, not for Frida yet, because we are still training the Treasury domain with Frida to understand, but the rest of the application.
Thank you. All right. I talk to companies every day about their treasury needs and especially about cash forecasting. And I hear a lot of things over and over again. Like, well, my forecast, it's only accurate, but just for a couple of weeks. You know, if I need to go out further, sometimes out to the end of the quarter, it's just not that accurate. Or I gather the forecast from each of my different countries and consolidate it, but it takes a lot of time and it's still not that accurate. Or my favorite from a treasurer, no less, who said to create my forecast, I put numbers on the wall and then I throw darts at it. So why is forecasting so hard? Well, usually it's pretty time consuming. There's a lot of different data coming from many different sources to cover AR, AP, payroll, taxes, CapEx, and more. And there's usually no easy way of managing and analyzing that large amount of data, both current and historical. So let's take a look at why and how autonomous systems, autonomous software is an obvious solution to this problem. So let's log in and see.
Now, what you're seeing here is some of the elements of what Sashi just talked about, a web UI, a system that's entirely cloud-based so that you can access it from anywhere, anytime. One that is touch-enabled so that you can just click anywhere and see more and more data to the level that you desire. You'll see Frida here in the upper right, our voice assistant like Siri and Alexa, that you just saw at work, not turned on yet here for Treasury, but it will be soon. So the idea is that this is a system, as 𝐚𝐥𝐬𝐨 would say, so easy that even a CFO can use it. In fact, if you attended our first session this morning, you'll have heard Brian Lampkin, the treasurer here from HNTB, talk about how his CFO leaves this up all the time. So it's so easy that truly even a CFO can use it. Now, what we've got here is this forecast where we're seeing out into the future and where we can drill down into more and more detailed information and see these views that are tailored to a variety of different types of users. Those consumers who may want to see the big picture view, charts and graphs and trends of what's going on, or more detailed views that are for the author of the data. Those who really would like to see it more in a spreadsheet-like view, detailed data that's side by side, where they can even make adjustments to the forecast to reflect the things that they know about. So the idea is that the data coming into this system from via API, going into the AI-driven models to produce greater accuracy in this automated framework, is that you still have this ability to adjust the data exactly to be what you need. Very similar, as you heard Sashi say, to Netflix or Amazon. Amazon's not buying it for you, it's just making suggestions. Netflix isn't choosing what you should watch, it's making suggestions. Although just watching something that it chooses is a new feature now. But the idea is that you decide. Same here with your forecast. You can make some manual adjustments and make it exactly what you need the forecast to be. You are in control. So these new connected workspaces, this ability to bring all the information together in one place so that we can collaborate together, is one of the great benefits of the system. The best part is that now you can talk about your forecast in an entirely new way. You can talk about your forecast not just in terms of what it's going to be, but how accurate it's going to be with a degree of confidence that's based on actual data from the past. For example, if you're 8 weeks or 2 months away before the end of the quarter, and you're targeting a particular number for the end of the quarter, you'll be able to say that my forecast is X, but the average variance that I'm expecting at this point in time, 2 months prior to the end of the quarter, is a little less than 11%, while my max variance is likely to be about 12% based on actual data, actual performance over the last 3 months. However, when we're just a month away from the end of the quarter, we're likely to be less than 7% variance, maximum of 7 3/4. So you'll be able to talk about the forecast with a new degree of confidence, a new degree of certainty and accuracy, so much so that you'll never sound like that treasurer who's just throwing darts at a wall. So autonomous software provides this giant leap forward in cash forecasting, a function that's been just about the same for more than 20 years. So now there's a solution to this age-old problem. So come, take a look. We're out there on the concourse, ready to set up meetings and talk to you about your specific situation. We're looking forward to it. So now, Sashi, back to you.
All right, time to wrap up. Thanks again, Tracy. I think that's the summary. So if I had to summarize the goal for HighRadius, I mean, this is the journey we embarked on, but over the next decade is to be the first software company to deliver autonomous software for receivables and treasury, and to abstract the components and deliver the end user experience. So our goal is to make sure that if you think about the AI components, the big data, and the platform components, we solve that, but make it easy for the users to consume and operate in the software, the experience layer. So with that, I'm going to open it up for questions.